The human's hand hovered inches from her chest plate. The air between them didn't just hum, it screamed like a live wire tensioning a bridge about to snap. "Touch me and you die," she whispered. Her voice was steady, a tectonic plate grinding against stone, but her fingers trembled. Reed didn't flinch. He stood amidst the swirling dust of a broken city, his engine still purring beneath him like a restless beast. He looked up at her, a giantess of silver skin and ancient circuitry, and locked eyes. "Then I guess," he said, the corner of his mouth twitching, "I'll die curious." The engine coughed, exhaling blue smoke into a bruised sunset. Around them, rusted towers leaned over the horizon like the ribs of a dead god. This was a graveyard world, radiation shimmering off the sand in waves of heat that turned the air into a living mirage. "My kind doesn't touch humans," she warned, the static crawling over her armor visible now, tiny arcs of violet light. "Your blood rejects our current." Guess I've always been bad at following rules. For the first time in years, the alien giant, Arya, felt her logic centers falter. She was a living battery, a creature of high-voltage elegance, and he was a soft, biological thing that should have been dust cycles ago. Yet he looked at her not with fear or pity, but with a reckless recognition. "Follow me if you want to live through the night," she said, sliding off her bike with inhuman grace. The ruins around them were waking up. Metal creaked, faint electronic chirps echoed from the shadows. The scavengers were hungry. As they moved deeper into the wreckage, Reed noticed the distortion around her, an energy field fighting to contain itself. Every step she took cracked sparks against the ground. She wasn't wearing armor, she was the weapon, and she was leaking. "You die, I burn." "Sounds fair," he murmured as they reached a collapsed outpost. "You joke too easily for someone lost on a death world. Humor is cheaper than oxygen." Inside the outpost, the smell of burnt ozone and copper filled the dark. She moved with calculated precision, avoiding the exposed wiring that sang in harmony with her blood. But the silence didn't last. 3 silhouettes, jointed all wrong, skittered through the doorway. Drones, old war machines trying to mimic life, their eyes glowing a hateful red. "They eat heat," she whispered. "And you're a furnace." One lunged. Arya moved faster than sound. Blue lightning flashed from her blade, severing metal and limb in a spray of sparks. The other 2 shrieked. Reed fired twice. Plasma burst, painting the sand orange. When the silence returned, Arya stood breathing hard, smoke rising from her skin. The arcs of electricity were wild now, dancing uncontrollably along her arms. "I'm losing control," she gasped, backing away. "Humans interfere with the field." "Don't," Reed stepped closer. "Let me help." He reached out, pressing his gloved hand against hers. The world went silent. Light flared between their palms, not blinding but beautiful. A circuit closed, her breathing steadied. "See?" he whispered, half in awe, "not dead yet." "You shouldn't be possible," she breathed. The storm outside escalated, whipping rust-red sand against the walls like shrapnel. They retreated into a hangar, sealing the door against the howling wind. But the respite was short. Her light was dimming, the containment failing. She dropped to one knee, the glow in her veins fighting to stabilize. "I told you what happens," she gritted out. "You fry, I die. Real optimistic partnership." Reed grabbed a length of industrial cable from the wall. "Trust me, I've done dumber things." He wrapped the wire around her forearm, grounding the crackling current into a metal beam. The cable vibrated violently, bleeding the excess energy out of her. The blinding white fade to a soft, stable blue. She blinked, stunned. It worked. "Engineer," he smirked. "Used to be." In the quiet that followed, the weight of their history settled between them. She showed him the memory core, a crystalline device holding the digitized souls of her colony. She was the last carrier, trying to reach the signal tower to upload them before the orbital bombardment began. "You'd risk your life for a memory?" Reed asked. "Because I was the last one still looking for proof that we mattered. Then we'll get you there." They rode the storm. The bike screamed through the wasteland like a dying comet, sand lashing their faces. Lightning forked across the sky, painting the world in violent flashes of violet. Arya drove, massive hands gripping the bars, while Reed clung to her, firing at the swarm of drones cresting the ridge behind them. "Your charge is rising again," he shouted over the wind. "It's feeding off the engine," she yelled back. Focus on the tower. They burst through the storm wall into a valley of shattered glass. The signal tower stood ahead, a silver spire piercing the smoke. They abandoned the bike and ran, dodging the strafing fire of a massive drone that dropped from the sky. Reed took the hit, rolling across the sand, his last plasma charge blowing the machine's core. Battered and bleeding, they reached the tower's base. The doors were sealed. Arya didn't hesitate. She pressed her hands to the steel and dumped her energy into the lock. With a deafening crack, the doors gave way. Inside, the ancient reactor woke up. She slid the memory core into the console. Lights cascaded upward, a pulse racing into the clouds. Her people were safe in the network, but the console flashed red. Critical mass, the tower is going to explode, Reed realized, grabbing her arm. We have to go. I have to anchor the signal or it fails. She looked at him, calm amidst the rising wail of the reactor. Run, Reed. If you go, I go. Why? Because dying curious still sounds better than living without you. She smiled then, small, broken, and real. She kissed him, a collision of biology and starlight. Then we make one world from two. She pushed him back. The blast was silent. White swallowed everything. Reed woke miles away, half buried in ash. The tower was gone, replaced by a column of shimmering dust spiraling into the heavens. He stumbled toward the crater, grief tearing at his throat. But in the center, amidst the cooling glass, a holographic shimmer took shape. Arya, you didn't run, the projection whispered. It was her, composed of light and data, anchored to the spot. You saved them, he choked out. We saved them, her image flickered. The network carries everything now, but I'm just an echo here. Go north, find the ship in the valley. It has the power to sustain the signal. I'm not leaving you. You already did, now live. Reed walked. He walked until his boots wore thin and the sun rose over the northern valley. There, half-buried, was the ancient ship. As he stepped inside, the systems hummed to life, recognizing the signature radiation now embedded in his own cells. A projection formed in the ship's heart. Arya. Clearer this time, stronger. Hello, human, she said softly. You look better than dead, he smiled, tears stinging his eyes. I'm not alive, she corrected gently. But I'm not gone. The ship remembers. The network remembers. Reed placed his hand on the console, and her hand, made of light, covered his. He could almost feel the warmth. Outside, the desert was changing. Tiny shoots of green were pushing through the scorched sand, fed by the energy she had released. Curiosity kept you alive, she whispered, her voice resonating in the very walls of the ship. Now let it build. He looked out at the horizon, where the dead world was beginning to breathe again. Yes, ma'am. The wind carried the echo far across the sand. They had made one world from two. And for the first time in a century, the planet didn't just survive, it bloomed.